Hello, I'm Mark Brooks, and over the next 15 minutes, I'm going to go through what I think are the top 12 news items from the year so far. Let's start with an intro, and then I'll give you a quick overview of the two key large public companies. We'll cover the top 12 news, and I'll introduce a final thought as well. So I run Courtland Brooks, which is a consultancy, and since 2005, we've worked with, I think, 112 clients that we've had since we started. We help internet dating businesses grow. I've got a team of 29 people that have worked in the industry before, and they love it so much they want to stay in, and they use Courtland Brooks as a way of keeping in touch with the industry and continuing to contribute. So as I said, I run Courtland Brooks. I also run the Internet Dating Excellence Association, which has been around since 2007. And 2005, I should say. IDEA was started in 2007. And also more recently, I started an online monthly conference called LTR, which is a couple of hours long. We have 3 presenters a month, which are all very welcome to join. I also run Online Personals Watch along with my wife since 2004, actually, when I started it, and Arena's been running it since 2005 with me. So really, it's different. This is different from GDI in that we're super short form. GDI does longer format and lots of original content. We're really doing an executive summary. That's the way to think of us. And also, we're a historical reference as well. Actually, if you want to look up some news from the past, you can go to the right-hand sidebar of OPW and look on the research link and go back to 2004 in summary format on just every company in existence in the dating industry. So it's really emerging as a historical record now, I think. So let's cover the two big public companies. We've got Bumble, of course, which went public quite recently. The revenues are standing at $186 million for the Q2 2021. They're losing money, but not much, and growing at a decent clip. I think Bumble's really fascinating because they've really shot for the soft underbelly of Tinder. What they've very effectively done is pulled in the women that are generally inundated on Tinder, the women that just can't really function well on Tinder because they get completely inundated, and they've lured them away and created a different experience, a more refined experience for them. Of course, Match is the behemoth. They're standing at close on $2.4 billion a year. Actually, they're over that now, of course, but for last year, they're just on $2.4 billion revenue and extremely profitable to boot, $743 million. Let's have a quick look at this graph. So you've got $743 million of operating income, and over double the size since 2015. In fact, I remember when Jim Safka was the CEO, he had a press meeting with several members of the press and analysts in New York. I was lucky enough to be in that group, and he said, we are going to grow Match to being, they're at $400 million a year at that point. We're going to grow Match to being over $1 billion a year revenue based on matchmakers. And they then went on to hire some matchmakers out of in Texas and realized that it's not so easy. So they bought Tinder and they took a different tack. But the big news for the year, I'm going to start with the biggest news. And the biggest news for us, of course, is that Apple is now prohibited from blocking outside payment. And that's thanks to Epic chasing them down. Thank you very much, Epic. Now it's opened up more options for us. So I'd say that by far, that's the biggest, most impactful news for you. There were a couple of precedents, South Korea, and there was another precedent as well where they'd started to crack the door on this. And I'm really amazed that they managed this. It's fantastic news for the industry. And I think what we'll see as a consequence of this is that the fees should go lower in time, but there could be some impediments. Certainly, the question is, will Apple play ball? And of course, they have to skirmish on this. I think they'll appeal. They've got to appeal. Hopefully we'll get to benefit from this soon, but we shall see. Bumble went public. Their shares were priced at $43 at the outset. Now they're trading around $55. And they're the second, you all know, the second highest grossing app. And I'd say the next biggest news is that ParshipMeet is preparing for an IPO in 2022. And let me just blow that up for you. The group bought the Meet Group for $467 million in the past. And what's interesting about this really is that there are two factions to the company. On the one side, they bought eHarmony, and they're matchmaking half of the company, and Parship is very much a matchmaking app. And on the other side of the house, they have the Meet Group, which is more video focused and really about social dating. It's just a very different idea, a different spin on dating. Tinder is going to make ID verification available worldwide. I think that's huge because really authentication is absolutely key in this space. When you go on a date with someone, you expect them to be who they say they are online. And we do have a responsibility to make sure we are taking every possible path to ensuring that people have a good experience online. So I think authentication is key. Tinder is really setting the tone here. So that's going to be done with a voluntary verification by uploading a photo ID. I think this has been a long time coming and a great idea. And they're going to be testing this in different markets. There's also, I should point out, RealMe, which provides background checks as well. I mean, authentication is one element, but actually knowing a little bit more about the person you're going to go on a date our users are going to go on dates with is absolutely key. That's the other side of the coin, really. Okay, they're real, they're verified, but are they a felon? Are they really safe? RealMe has a set of tools which can help you with that as well. Chinese online dating app Soul is going to raise $100 million in an IPO. And they were started in 2016. They're more of a chatty app. They're very much, you think of the old chat apps. This is very much a chat app. They are going to spend the money on AI, big data capability, technology infrastructure, as well as brand marketing and promotional activities, apparently. They are making massive losses right now, I should note, but they made $77 million in 2020, really focused on growth, of course. The next biggest news, I think, is that app spending is predicted to reach $270 billion by 2025. The important thing for here is, let me just, I'm going to blow the graph up here for you, is things are growing at about a 20% clip. I think that's the interesting thing to pull away from these Sensor Tower numbers. And that's split across Google Play and App Store, of course, with most of the revenues coming from the App Store. Next biggest news, Match Group has acquired Hyperconnect, which is really interesting. They're based in Seoul, and their key brand is Azar, which is a video and audio chat app. So they're profitable, a couple $100 million revenue in 2020, which was up considerably from 2019. What's interesting to point out here is that Match Group are already doing video on Plenty of Fish. They're using VPAS by the Meet Group, by the way. And this is really a way for Match to hedge their bets, I think. They're definitely keen on video at this stage. It's core to the future, I think, and clearly they think as well. So they translate, there is an app, this app translates voice and video text, which is really interesting. Which reminds me of another app which is in the Match fold, which you might not have heard of, called Ablo. They were developed under True, and it's doing quite well. And they're also able to do this on-the-fly interpreting translation. So I think there's a couple of companies to watch. And that transaction is closing. Well, it's closed now, but apparently. So the dating group also acquired Cupid Media for $51 million. I think this is a great fit for them. Cupid Media has 11 properties. They're really focused on kind of international, so they've got AsianDating.com, Muslimer, ThaiCupid.com. They're very internationally focused, as is Dating Group, because they also have Anastasia Date, of course, which is what I call premium international dating. They've got several million active users, that's Cupid Media, and this brings Dating Group's revenues up to $300 million. Who knows who will be the next to IPO, but with the ParshipMeet Group setting a precedent soon, I wouldn't be surprised to see Dating Group going in a similar tack. And one to watch. Clover has $12 million extra capital. Another one to watch. It's a $12 million vote of confidence, of course. They've got 900,000 paying subscribers, and they essentially bring two people together and suggest hotspots. So they're going one step further than most of us by suggesting places where the people can meet, users can meet. Another raise, $3.5 million, was raised by Snack. What's interesting here is Snack is run by Kim Kaplan, who's formerly of Plenty of Fish, long-term Plenty of Fish executive team member. And they're also doing video-first dating, and they're inspired by TikTok. So another one to watch here. Next news, the final news, number 12, is the company Tinder is testing virtual currency. So the company says tests are performing well. And that's going to roll out in H2 2021. So I think that'll be impact for us. Keep an eye on Tinder. So my final thought for you is from a podcast from Sam Harris. It's Sam Harris's podcast number 259. It's a podcast called Making Sense, and called The Reckoning to Come. And in this edition, Balaji Srinivasan, who's the former CTO of Coinbase, set an idea down, which I thought was very pertinent to us. The technology is upstream of culture and politics, was his statement in that podcast, which is really intriguing. It's like, okay, culture and politics. Culture influences politics. I think it's pertinent to us because ultimately we are a technology. Dating apps are a technology. We're layering in more layers of technology to build our service offerings, and looking for, AI, I think, is going to be very important for us in the future. And as we develop this technology, the people who are developing this technology and their sets of biases are going to be key to how we shape culture and behavior in the future. The incentives that drive us will drive how we design this technology and release it. And that's going to shape culture, and it's going to shape behavior. So I think of all the industries in the world, I think outside of the health industry, I think there are a few industries, I can't think of anything really that has more social responsibility than the dating industry. We bring people together. We're responsible for the future genetic of the human race, essentially. No small task. So with that said, I'm Mark Brooks with Courtland Brooks. Thank you so much for your time, and please contact me if you'd like to have a chat. Thank you.